Hi fantasy managers, welcome to FPL Team Talk. In this FPL video, we're going to go through a game week 1 draft side. I'm going to go through the players one by one. I'm going to tell you why I've picked them, look at some of the stats. Stick around for the end because I'm going to go through some of the options as well other people have suggested. A little bit of tinkering around to finish off with. So if you enjoy your FPL videos, please give it a like, hit subscribe. And in the meantime, let's get on with it. Let's start off in defence then, and I'm going for none other than Mendy. Chelsea have some really nice fixtures at the start of the season. At 5 million, I just don't think we can go far wrong. 0.9, let's have a look at that. In terms of expected goals conceded last year, he's right up there alongside Alisson. Only Edison betters him in that department. Lloris, who's more expensive, 1.15. You could argue that Chelsea's defence will be weaker because they've lost Rudiger, Christensen. I think you could argue if they bring in Koulibaly, you've got Chilwell back now as well, it could be argued they're slightly stronger. Either way, I think for 5 million, Mendy's a real set and forget. I like those fixtures. Everton, Leeds and Hampton stand out, and then you've got 2 home fixtures, and they can keep a clean sheet against anyone. Mendy for 5 million, I just think is a player I cannot really overlook. Moving into defence then, and we're going to have another Chelsea player, James. The effect of Mendy coming into this side really means that I could have gone Chilwell and James as I had before. I don't want to triple up on that Chelsea defence. As much as I like them, I'm not prepared to go all in on them at the start of the season. James, 6 million, he's an absolute set and forget for me. No negotiation going on with James. He has the same obviously goals expected to concede, 0.9, so good chance for clean sheets. His goal involvement is just phenomenal, 0.46. Remember, he missed such a large chunk of the season through injury, and yet he's still right up there. Can he produce it across the whole season would be the question. I think he can. 0.47, Trent leads the way, but it has to be said that's for goal involvement. Trent's actual goal threat itself is very low, so James, by virtue of scoring more goals and being more likely to score goals, could possibly outscore Trent. And for 6 million, 1.5 million less, that gives you so much flexibility elsewhere in a squad. James, absolutely, I think is me. It could be Chilwell. I'm going James all the way. James, rock solid, non-negotiable. Alongside him then, we're going to go for Laporte. Would love to have Cancelo because he just offers much more of a goal threat than Laporte. Not that Laporte hasn't got any at all. He can certainly get up front and get into set pieces and has an aerial threat. But those figures, he's nowhere near. Cancelo is much more likely to get you assists, but then he's a million more as well. With those fixtures, I just want the cheapest possible way into that City defence. That is going to play, and I think Laporte offers me that. Could go Diaz. I'm just going to go Laporte. I just think he's slightly more nailed on. We'll have to wait and see if that's the case or not. But for 6 million, yeah, again, I just want a Chelsea defender with Bournemouth, Palace, Forest all at home in their first 5 fixtures. Just screams out clean sheets. If he gets any sort of goal or involvement at all, I'll be over the moon. But otherwise, Laporte makes it in for that reason. Alongside Laporte, then I have to have a Liverpool player. And just for the money, I think Robertson 7 offers good value. I think Trent is brilliant value at 7.5 as well. If you can go Trent, I think Trent would be my preferred option. But for 7 million right now, Robertson's made it into the side. Again, we've seen the expected goals conceded. He's right up there with the best of them. 0.3 is really good in terms of goal involvement. Great season for Robertson. Missed a few games through injury. If he can stay fit, I mean, there's no reason why you wouldn't expect him to breach that 200 mark. He looks like a nailed-on option for me. Perisic, the next one as well. Good fixtures. You've got Southampton at home. It's a lovely way to start the season, you'd expect. Then you have a difficult one at Chelsea. We've got Wolves, Forest. They look like some nice fixtures. A full pre-season under Conte. He strengthened that side. You've got Basuma now as well, protecting that back 5. And Perisic's figures just in the Serie A look phenomenal. If he can produce anywhere near that, he's going to be such a good asset at 5.5 in a Tottenham defence that looked pretty solid at the end of last season. Only concern with Perisic maybe is how is he going to be used. 33 years old. I can't see him playing all European games and league games as well, so maybe prone to a bit of rotation, but that may come later on. Certainly for the start of the season, I see him getting to game time at 5.5. I think he's a bargain. Then we come on to perhaps more of the budget side of it. I've got to bring in someone to raise money for that midfield and strikers. I'd love to have a Cancelo or someone like that, or Trent. Tomiyasu for the money, I think offers my best way into that Arsenal defence, and they've got decent fixtures as well. Doesn't offer anywhere near the goal threat of the others. 4.5, I wouldn't mind benching him. I do think there's opportunity for clean sheets when you look at Bournemouth, Fulham. They've obviously strengthened as well with lots of Jesus, so maybe that could increase his goal involvement. I think his expected goal involvement looks really weak. I think and hope he'll be slightly better than that. We'll have to wait and see. 4.5 though, he's not nailed on his side. I'm certainly open to suggestions. Right now though, Tomiyasu's booked that slot for himself. Another one that's not nailed on but comes into my side is Hwang. 6 million. I think there's a lot of options you could have around there. None of them really exciting, I wouldn't say. But Wolves' fixtures look really good. Hwang's had a brilliant international sort of... At the end of the season, he's played for Korea and he's got a few goals as well. Why he's listed as a midfielder, I'm just so unsure. He will be playing up front for Wolves. Doesn't get many shots in and around the box. That's why his goal involvement expected isn't fantastic. But just for the fact and the virtue, he's got great fixtures. I think he's playing up front, so he'll get more points. I'm really tempted to take a punt. He's not an absolute non-negotiable. I'm certainly open to suggestions. So if anything happens between now and the start of the season in terms of the transfer window, players getting signed, he may find his way out. But right now, he's in my side. Next on the list then, I've got Raheem Sterling. Wasn't a player I really looked at the start of the season. For 10 million, I did think, he's quite expensive. The more I've dug into his stats, the more I like him and the more he's worked his way into my side as a non-negotiable. Great fixtures, as we know, away at Everton. Remember, he's playing for Chelsea. You got Tottenham, you got the Leeds game, Leeds, Southampton. So he's my third Chelsea player. 2.46 shots in and around the box. That's absolutely fine. It's not phenomenal, but it's okay. Expected goal involvement, considering he played bit part and he was playing out wide, he's playing in midfield, sometimes he's playing down the middle. 0.88 is phenomenal record in terms of his goal involvement, expected goal involvement. If we compare that to some of the best players in the FPL, Salah leads the way at 1.1. Son, who was the joint goal scorer, leading goal scorer last year, the joint golden boot, his expected goal involvement was only 0.77. KDB 0.68. So Raheem leads, he's right up with that with the very best of them at a slightly cheaper price. If you look at him as well, is he doing it consistently? 0.66, he had a bit of a bounce, but that's still really good. 0.91 the season before, and then 0.86. So he's consistently doing it in the Premiership. 27 years old. You expect him to go to Chelsea and get game time there. Will he be playing in front or out wide? Don't know yet. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But either way, he has been doing that for the last few seasons. He's just a really consistent performer. At 10 million, playing a Chelsea side that I think is nailed, I'm pretty much, at this moment in time, feeling he's a non-negotiable. I'm just really excited about bringing Sterling in. Don't think his ownership's particularly high. Whether that will go up or not, I'm unsure. But for right now, Sterling at 10 million, I think is a really exciting prospect. I think alongside him, I can't really shy away from it. It feels really boring, but I can't apologise for that. He just has to play 4.54 shots in around per 90 minutes. That's per 90 minutes. Every game he's getting 4.5 shots off. It's expected goals, 1.1. So every game you get a player who is going to produce something. Phenomenal amount of points. Whether he costs 14 or 15 million, you'd probably still have to consider you're going to bring him in, especially when you've got Fulham, Palace and Bournemouth, 3 of the first 4 games. Salah, I don't think there's much conversation to have. I will bring out a video, I think, just looking at different alternatives because it's always interesting to see. Everyone's always going to be tempted when you do your side at 13 million. If I didn't have him, what else could I do? And I think I will definitely investigate that, but it's hard to leave Salah out. Looking up front then, let's have a look at what other options we've got. We know Salah's goal involvement because we've looked at that already. I've got to go Jesus. I think his fixtures look brilliant. He's nailed on up front for Arsenal. Will he take pens? Maybe Saka still relies on that. 0.73 goal involvement. Again, for a bit player for Manchester City, looks really good. Jesus just has to come in. He's very much a non-negotiable for me. I really like the look of him. Where does he rank in terms of strikers? Ronaldo was up there at 0.8. Kane 0.77 and then Vardy 0.57. So Jesus is right up there in the mix with the top strikers in terms of expected goal involvement. Remember, he was playing out wide last year, and a lot of these involvements were assists. Hopefully, playing down the middle for Arsenal, he's going to get more goals. But main man, nailed on. I think we know his quality. 8 million looks like a real steal to me. Lastly, and a real non-negotiable for me, is Erling Haaland. Difficult game, first game that you'd have to say, but Man City we know can score against absolutely anyone. Bournemouth at home, I don't want to be sat behind the sofa worried about that game. He could just go ballistic. Newcastle away, then you've got Palace and Forest, 2 more great home fixtures. You would have to say he's nailed on for City up front. Shots in and around the box, these are all the Bundesliga stats. If he gets anywhere near that, playing for a premium side in the Premier League, I think there could just be fireworks. Haaland for me is a non-negotiable. I could definitely understand if you're going for people like Kane. my preference, I just think Haaland. I just think playing up front for Man City, the best team in the Premiership, he's just got to be in. I don't want to go into that Bournemouth game thinking I haven't got Haaland. So let's have a look at the team in its entirety. Then on the bench, we will have Forster. He's literally 4 million cheapest keeper. I don't intend on rotating Mendy any way, shape or form. Then we'll have Delap. The reason I got Delap, again, 4.5, he is incredibly cheap. There is rumours about him going on loan, possibly to another Premiership club. I know Southampton are interested. If he goes there, 4.5, a playing player, smacks of Broja last year, he could become a really good asset. My only doubt is the fact that he takes up a Man City spot. So that could be the downside of having someone like Delap. But 4.5 could be really optional. We'll have to keep an eye on that. And Andreas has moved to Fulham, so we expect him to be getting game time. 4.5 again. Happy to have on the bench. A playing player on the bench I know is going to get football. Could be priceless for me. And then the last one making up that little is Lavier. I think waiting for other options. Again, I'm not even sure he'll get starting time for Southampton. 4.5, there's slim pickings at the moment. Maybe that will change. Could go people like Nat Phillips, Nico Williams, players like that. Again, I just don't want to take up a defensive slot for those players. So that side in its entirety, it comes out 100 million. Let's have a look at one or two other options. So it has been suggested to me, well, rather than having Sterling and Haaland, you could go for someone like Son and Kane. Son, joint top goal scorer. Kane playing for a side that you expect to hit the ground running. If I did do that, if I brought Sterling out and I brought Haaland in, obviously Haaland straight swap for Kane, so that's not a problem. Son for Sterling, I'm over budget by 2 million. So where am I going to steal that from? Realistically, there's very few places. If I didn't want to downgrade Jesus to a £6 million player, Laporte, James, I can't bring them down anymore. It'd have to be Robertson. Robertson could come out and Trippier would come in. And I don't think that's a bad call, but it does leave me with just one Liverpool player, given all that, given the fixtures they've got. The other choices I don't like is that I do want Saka on my side. I consider Mahrez is on a new contract, or Martinelli. He's a cheaper option than Hwang. Saka for 8 million though. I really like the sound of him and want to put him inside. I'll go through how I do that in a minute. Eriksen signed a contract at 6.5 for Man United. If he gets game time and you expect him to, he could be a real bargain. Yes, I'd love to have Cancelo in. I'm really struggling to see how I can get him in. And yes, I'd want Trent in. Again, I'm struggling to see how I'm going to get him. One option I have got, though, I could just swap Hwang for Martinelli. I don't think that's a bad option. So he could come in. My preferred route would be, can I get Saka for 8 million into that side? I really like him. He's on pens. The fixtures look really good. I don't mind tripling up on Arsenal, given I've got striker, midfielder, defender. Wouldn't want to double up on their defence. How am I going to get Saka in, though? I've gone up by 2 million. Again, it would have to be Robertson, I think, to Trippier. Again, what I don't like is I just have one Liverpool player with those fixtures, no Liverpool defenders. But that's the problem with the fact that I've got Sterling, Haaland and Salah in there. And that's when you start wondering, what could I do with Salah? But we'll look at that in another video. But those are all the options. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the side. Who is non-negotiable for me? Who could you possibly bring in that defence? Would you go without a Liverpool defender or not? Let me know in the comments below.